Alright, here's the sunrise from night one. Morning one. I guess that's morning two from our campsite. It's a great spot. The waves last night were creating all these little pools of water on the rocks. It was neat because last night they were being refreshed every couple of waves. But I guess normally they're kind of standing water. Just making a little bit of coffee on the alcohol stove to get the day started. Alright, there's the boat with the sail up. I just thought I'd put it up and kind of test everything out, adjust some lines. See, my lazy jacks are a little bit funny. They're a little bit awkward, so I'm going to adjust my lazy jacks. I guess I should put some tension on my reefing line, but everything looks pretty good. We're going to go out sailing in a bit. Sometimes it's easier to set the sail at dock and kind of motor out with the sail up. There we are. I tensioned up the lazy jacks a little bit, so that looks a lot better. So we're just going to head out and do a day excursion, leave the campsite set up. That's kind of our plan for this next 10 days or so, is we're going to probably keep this campsite and just do day excursions. There's lots of day excursions to do in this area of Eastern Lake Ontario. There's islands to check out, there's towns to check out, all kinds of stuff to do. And if our dock's taken when we get back, which I think is unlikely being a weekday, we'll just anchor and swim in or beach it or something. Sailing along nicely, single reef. We're heading upwind, we're heading west into pretty well a west wind. So we're gonna have to do some tacking, but the boat seems to be sailing along all right, so no problem. We departed Milton Island in light winds, not super light, just like light to moderate. Our destination was Kingston, so we were planning to travel to Kingston to do a little bit of shopping, get some lunch, just enjoy a day trip to the city. Plan was to maybe check out some of the historic buildings and the architecture. But it was beat to weather, and we were single reef because we were expecting the wind to pick up a little bit. So lots of tacking back and forth. Also notable is we were traveling against the current here. So progress wasn't super fast, but the boat was making good speed through the water. So here's a quick look at a map. As you can see, we're kind of at the east end of Lake Ontario in the Great Lakes in Canada. As we kind of proceeded westbound from Milton Island, as we started to get closer to Cedar Island, the wind did start to pick up considerably. I'd say it switched from light to moderate during this stage of the voyage, and the boat started to make pretty good speed through the water and started to make slightly better speed towards our destination, better VMG, because she was moving faster through the water. But we were cracked off. We weren't close hauled. I'd say we were close reaching for a more comfortable ride. Okay, here's a more zoomed in map of the Kingston area. So that's kind of Eastern Lake Ontario, Western Thousand Islands area. So as we started to get closer to Kingston and as it got kind of into early afternoon, the winds started to build, which is very typical of the Kingston area. It tends to have pretty good winds in the afternoon for sailing, and that's consistent. That's something you can count on.
We considered a double reef, but you know, the boat was fairly heavily loaded. We had 3 of us up on the windward side, kind of providing, you know, ballast, and she was sailing well. And we decided we just didn't need that second reef, so we kept going as is. Okay, so here's a map that showed our planned route. As you can see, it's fairly straightforward. But then if we go on to our my screenshot of our actual spot track, you can see that we covered a lot more miles than the route would indicate, because we were sailing upwind, sailing up current, so we were tacking. We were using the whole river and getting as much distance out of each tack as we could, but it was still you know, a lot of distance covered compared to, you know, as the crow flies distance, I guess you could say. Our VMG was not nearly as good as our speed through the water, and that's, you know, that's what you would expect when you're sailing upwind against a current, especially in a cat-rigged boat with no keel, like a Bayhead. But she did sail really well. When we got on to our last leg, heading towards Kingston, we had a long beam reach, and we just flew. We covered the distance in not a whole lot of time. We were making 6 knots type of thing, so kind of really above our hull speed. But you know, that boat can do it, because she is quick.
Here we are, we're hove to, going to try and get the engine started and get the sail down. That was about a 12-mile sail. We were going to motor, and we ended up sailing upwind for about 12 miles because the Honda outboard acted up. And then it was blowing pretty good coming into dock. And the outboard acted up even just for the short time we needed it to dock for. So we sailed into dock. So it was exciting sailing into dock because it was blowing pretty good, and it was rough and in through a narrow break wall. But you know, the boat sails pretty well.
Okay, so that's just a quick look at our sail from Milton Island to Confederation Basin in Kingston. Thank you for watching the Travel by Water channel.